He vanished 6 weeks after their wedding. 70 years later, she found this. It was the spring of 1903, a time when life in small towns was simple, and love stories were whispered through narrow streets and across candlelit porches. Katrin and Robert had known each other since childhood. They grew up chasing fireflies in the fields, sharing secrets by the riverbank, and dreaming of a future together. On the morning of their wedding, the entire village gathered. Bells rang, flowers adorned the church, and Katrin wore a dress carefully stitched by her mother. Robert, with his shy smile and steady hands, looked at her as if she was the only soul in the world. For a brief moment, life seemed perfect. They danced, they laughed, and they promised it eternity. But eternity lasted only 6 weeks. One evening, Robert told Katrin he was stepping out for a short walk. The evening air was crisp, the moon casting pale light on the cobblestone streets. He never returned. No footsteps, no witnesses, no note. Just gone. At first, people thought it was an accident, or perhaps he had fallen ill, but days turned into weeks. Rumors spread. Some whispered he had run away. Others claimed he had debts. A few believed he had been taken by something far darker. Katrin refused to believe any of it. She knew Robert. He would never abandon her, and yet his absence was a wound that never healed. Katrin searched relentlessly. She walked from house to house, speaking to friends, relatives, even strangers. She placed ads in local papers, begged for help at the police station, and knocked on doors of journalists in nearby towns. She even hired a private detective, something almost unheard of for a young woman in those days. But every lead turned cold. Some said Robert boarded a train heading east. Others swore they saw him in the company of men in dark coats. None of it was true. The trail ended before it even began. Years turned into decades. Katrin never remarried. The house they once shared remained unchanged, like a shrine to a love unfinished. She kept Robert's clothes folded neatly in the closet. His books gathered dust on the shelves. At night, she sat by the window, staring at the road, hoping he would walk back through the door. World wars came and went. Neighbors aged, children grew into adults, generations shifted. But Katrin remained, a widow without a grave, a wife without an answer. She carried her sorrow quietly, like a shadow, and yet she never stopped searching. By the time Katrin was 93, she was frail, but still sharp. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic of the old house, she noticed a loose floorboard. It had probably been there for decades, but that day, something compelled her to look closer. She pried it open with trembling hands, and beneath it, she found a small compartment covered in dust. Inside were yellowed envelopes bound with string, a silver watch she recognized immediately as Robert's, and, most astonishing of all, a letter addressed to her. Her heart pounded as she unfolded it. The ink had faded, but the words were clear. Robert confessed he had kept a secret from her, a secret so heavy that it followed him even into their marriage. He wrote that shortly after their wedding, he had been taken, not by thieves or criminals, but by government agents. They told him he was tied to something buried in his past, something dangerous he could not ignore. He had no choice. He was declared dead, officially, so no one would ask questions. He wrote of regrets, of longing, of love that never faded. And then, the letter changed. The last page was not words, but symbols, strange markings, sequences of numbers, as if he was leaving behind a code. Katrin's eyes burned with tears as she stared at the patterns. What did it mean? Was Robert alive when he wrote this? Was this his way of reaching her, decades later? She tried to decipher it, comparing the numbers to dates, the symbols to letters she knew, but nothing made sense. Yet something inside her, An unshakable feeling told her this was not the end. It was the beginning. Despite her age, Katrine refused to give up. She sought help from historians, cryptographers, even young students who had a fascination for codes. Slowly, piece by piece, the mystery began to unravel. The numbers pointed to locations, dates long forgotten, places where Robert might have left traces. It took months, but one clue led to another, until finally, one evening in a quiet, remote village few had ever heard of, the truth revealed itself. She entered a small, dimly lit cottage, and there, sitting by the fire, was a man with white hair, aged hands, and eyes she knew better than her own. Robert, alive, still waiting. Time had carved lines into his face, but his smile was the same. When he saw her, he whispered only one word: "You found me." In that moment, 70 years of grief melted away. For the first time in decades, Katrine smiled, not because of what she had discovered, but because of who she had never truly lost. Their reunion was not long. Age does not wait, but it was enough. Enough to remind Katrine that love is not measured by time or distance, but by endurance. And her story became a legend whispered through generations. The tale of the bride who never stopped searching, and the husband who waited hidden in shadows until love brought them back together.